What's up for my dogs? If it's your first time listening, we are a podcast where we help men become the best versions of themselves and to highlight that we cannot do it alone. My name's Johnny. With me, as always, my co-host Tucker.
What's up, guys? We got some great things on the horizon for you. This week, actually, we're doing a meetup at Sycamore Brewery at 6:30 p.m. here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We would love for you guys to come out and join us and get to meet you guys, talk with you guys, share a couple drinks. And it's also a cool opportunity for our listeners to meet one another and to meet some new people. So meet us there at Sycamore this Thursday night. And then also go ahead and mark your calendars. We're having the inaugural first ever For My Dawgs podcast retreat with all of our listeners. There's only 25 spots max, so you're going to want to make sure you're in for all the details. So to get the details, you're going to want to join our Patreon. The link is in the description to this video. It's completely free. We're not charging you to join that. We just needed a platform to be able to communicate with you all. So hop in, join that, and we will share more details about that retreat in the coming weeks. And on this episode, we hope you're ready to listen to a good one. We got Butch English on to talk about why golf is such a great hobby for men to take part in. So enjoy the episode. All right, welcome to the For My Dawgs podcast. As always, got my dog Johnny here. How you doing today?
Doing good, Tucker. I'm drinking some orange sparkling water. To cheer on your Vols for the basketball game today.
That's very nice of you, Johnny. How about that?
This is as much orange you're going to get me wearing, so there you go.
We have never made it to the Final Four, so it would be a big win today if we can pull it off. I like our chances. I think we can do. I think we can pull off the upset against Houston. So we'll see.
There we go.
But today, I don't even know the exact amount of days out from the Masters, but we thought it would be fitting to talk about golf since we're getting close to that time of the year. One of the greatest sporting events on the sports calendar is coming up. And so we want to talk about golf because we think it is a great hobby for guys. A lot of guys, this is how they connect with their friends. This is how they build deep, authentic friendships where they can share what they're going through and share their struggles. A lot of that for guys happens on the golf course. And so we have a very special guest on today. His name is Butch English. He in high school was a baller. He averaged 25 points a game, was a knockdown shooter. And then later in life, he got into golf. And he has 9 club championships at the Peninsula Club here in Cornelius, North Carolina. So he's no slouch at golf. He's a golf instructor now. He gave me my first lessons when I started playing golf. So it is my pleasure to introduce Butch English. How you doing, Butch?
Tucker, promise me that you won't tell people I'm your teacher. So do that,
That's awesome. Well, I just told everybody.
Thank you, Tucker. You and Johnny, I'm really glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Happy to have you on. So how about you just give a little bit of background about yourself, kind of, you're married, that kind of stuff.
I grew up in a small town close to Greensboro, a little place called Yanceyville. There's tobacco farming, textiles, and farming, and it was a great place to grow up, kind of like Mayberry. And so I played basketball and baseball, and I was pretty decent at basketball, and ended up playing at a junior college, Lewisburg, and then played at Methodist University. And then right after that, I was in coaching. I was a high school coach at Smith High School basketball. I moved into the junior college ranks at Lafayette Junior College. Learned a lot about recruiting, and we had some really good teams there. And then at Methodist University, I was an assistant. Then I got in the business world with State Farm, and God leads you in the right direction because I was selling at first, and then I got into leadership and building teams and sales teams. And so I was always kind of in my sweet spot. So if I could share one thing, especially with young guys, is that whatever your life's work is, make sure you're living in your sweet spot. Make sure that whatever you do, it's work, and you'll have tough days, but it doesn't seem like work. It's just who you are. and you will not have a common life. You'll have a great life. So I was so blessed by God to get into the sales business and then leadership and building teams with State Farm. And I retired at State Farm in 2013, a long time ago, and at age 61. And then I wrote a book. I think my mom bought a copy. My sister bought a copy. It's called Recruiting and Hiring Champions in Plain English. I wrote the book because I was a speaker for leadership training and recruiting. And I did that for a few years. Didn't really like travel that much. Then I have a good friend that is in the NASCAR business, and he asked me to help him with sponsorships. So I started a sports marketing company. Again, it involves a lot of travel, every race and that sort of thing. And it was, it was really an interesting business. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but really rewarding. Then all of a sudden I said, I forgot I was retired. So I'm going to retire. And talked me into, starting a golf coaching business. I'm not a PGA guy. I'm just a golf coach, and I work with swing and short game and the mental side of golf, a lot of putting. So I was at Birkdale teaching golf, and, it was a great time, and I still am up in Mooresville. But that's a little bit about me. I don't want to go on and on, but the club championships, that and $3 will get you a cup of coffee, not at Starbucks. So, but I was working so hard. My wife said, "Did you win?" I said, "I won." She said, "What did we win?" I said, "Well, this glass trophy, this crystal trophy." And she said, "So you hit 10,000 golf balls, you practice every day, and we won a bowl? You put peanuts?" It's not that big a deal, Tucker. Thank you, man. I appreciate you letting me be on.
Yeah, happy to have you.
No, that's awesome. And Butch, I just want to say you have the coolest name, Butch English. I mean, very classy. I like that. Unfortunately, Butch, I'm not a golfer. Tucker's trying to get me into it. I'm the guy who hangs out in the golf cart while my buddies play golf. So I'm eventually going to get there.
Hey, listen, man. You were an athlete, though, right? You played
Yes,
sport.
sir. Yes, sir.
Played other sports. Golf's very athletic, and if you play baseball, the best golfers that I've worked with here's really interesting, are pitchers in baseball and home run hitters in baseball, quarterbacks, hockey players, soccer players, and lacrosse players. A lot of that's throwing a stick at a ball. It's on a plane than golf. But if you're athletic, that's what I try to do as far as teaching golf, make it athletic and fun.
Well, It sounds like we need to get a class going with me and you, Butch. I'll be down for that. But like Tucker said earlier, we have the Masters coming up, and with you're besides golf, you're a jack of all trades, just with your career. But talking more about golf, who is your pick for the Masters?
I'd be remiss if a guy that was 11 under yesterday in Texas wasn't my pick. He had 7 wins last year and a gold medal. So it's, Scotty's got to be at the top of the list. Xander Schauffele is really playing well, coming off an injury. Xander is one of the best putters on tour for sure. Rory McIlroy carries the ball 332 yards, and he hits a high draw, which is perfectly fit. He's not really pulled it off at Augusta, but I got a feeling if I had to pick, I'd go with probably Rory. But that's like pulling against the New York Yankees when you're pulling against Scotty Scheffler. So I'm not pulling against anybody, but those are 3 of my top picks.
All right, you heard it here first.
There you go. If you're into sports gambling, go ahead and lock your picks in.
I didn't say
lock your pick in. Mr. Butch English called it.
I'm not into gambling, and you're not drinking a beer. That's an orange Sprite or whatever you said it was.
I promise you, it is an orange sparkling water.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know we're all looking forward to watching the Masters. Hopefully, if you're listening, you can get together with some of your boys and have a good time watching the Masters. Johnny, I love your father-in-law Dan, who we had on. Him and his buddies, they have a tradition every year. Well, they'll get together and he'll take off work Friday, and they spend the entire weekend watching the Masters together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, since college they've done that. It's awesome.
Yeah,
place like no other. That's what that is.
Yeah. So Butch, there's a couple things you said that I want to ask about. But the NASCAR gig you had, the sports marketing thing, was that with Coach Gibbs?
Coach Gibbs is a friend from almost 30 years ago, we went to church together at Lake Norman Baptist, and he was in my Sunday school class, and he and his wife, Pat, became a couple friends with Linda and I, and he has remained a lifelong friend. And the reason he likes me, I'm his regular guy. I won a JV championship in basketball, and he won 3 Super Bowls. So,
Yeah.
anyway, but the most competitive human being in the world. First time I played, I won, and then we figured out the game, and the next day we were supposed to play, and I actually was working and kind of forgot it. And my wife said, "There's an older guy on the front porch waiting for you. Said he wants to play golf." And I realized that day that he was the most competitive guy. So we compete. Nobody ever. There's no trophy, no money, and we just compete and have fun. So yeah, a great Christian, just a fine Christian. But he was a NASCAR guy. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool that you guys, struck up a friendship. And yeah, for our listeners who don't know, Coach Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with the Redskins, correct? They were all with the Redskins?
3 with the Reds, 3 different quarterbacks, yeah.
Yeah. And then, once he was done coaching in the NFL, he got into NASCAR and has his own racing team. So if you've ever heard of Joe Gibbs Racing, that's the guy.
5 NASCAR championships as well.
Yeah. So bottom line, he's a winner. We need to get Coach Gibbs on the podcast.
Yeah. If you get him a good golf match lined up, he'll probably do it. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, yeah. So you've mentioned you played a little bit of basketball both in high school and in college, and then got into coaching after that. And at that level, I think you said you were junior college playing and coaching up until Methodist. But can you tell us a little bit just about that experience, that time in your life? What are some of the lessons you learned from it? What are some of the main things that stuck with you from that period of your life?
I guess this is a takeaway. It may not sound like sports at first, but one of the things I've learned in my life is that whether you're the head of your family or the head of your work group or the head of your church or whatever, leadership is a critical role and a competency that obviously that you should strive for as a man, I think, and as a woman. I was so blessed to have a college coach. To be honest with you, he worked us so hard and ran us like a dog every day. And we never lost because we lost, but we didn't lose many because we were in better shape at the end of the game. So, but during the time I played for him, he wasn't my favorite guy. He was so much of a disciplinarian. He was so demanding. He was so focused on, the prize that was to win. And yet he was very compassionate. He really cared about us. He had the ability to select the right people that he recruited. After I got out and I said, I want to coach, I started thinking, wow, Coach Drake was really special. And he taught me so much. So I would encourage, a big takeaway from me from sports and doing that was, as you go through your life, you find people that are great leaders, ask them questions. Why are you a great leader? They all going to say the same thing. I have the ability to select the right people. I can overcome adversity. I have leadership courage, and on and on. There's about 10 or 12 things that are commonplace there. I can sell a game plan. I just really think that's important to people. My biggest takeaway from sports is leadership. The second thing is how powerful a team is and how much more powerful a team is than one person. And, I think when Christ built his disciples, there were 12 of them, and that was his team, and they were powerful, and he was the leader. Greatest leadership example ever. Anyway, leadership and teams overcome adversity. You band together, you pick each other up, you're compassionate, you love each other. And that's pretty much it, bud. Those 2 things.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you to share, because we had Tommy Burleson set up a Christmas tree lot at our church this past December. Right. And a lot of our listeners may not know who Tommy Burleson is, but you've heard of Jimmy V, who was the coach at NC State when they won the championship back in, was it 84? 83. And Tommy Burleson was on that team, and he's
Tucker, that's you got 2 national champs. Tommy is in 74 with David Thompson, Norm Sloan.
Okay, sorry.
Jim Valvano is, the guys that they just kept winning at the end of the game, fouling everybody. That was in 83. So, but still, Tommy was on the 74 team.
That's right. Okay, sorry. Well, they won a championship too. And yeah, with David Thompson, who, in Butch's words, is the greatest college basketball player ever. And you told a story, though, about you had to play against Tommy when you were at
Lewisburg, yeah.
Lewisburg. Yeah. Would you mind sharing that real quick? Because I just think that story is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I played guard. I was 6'3" and played guard. Our game plan that week was Tommy's 7'4", and that top of my head was even with his number, and that's how big he was. And he wasn't really as good as he was a freshman at State. I was in junior college. We played them at our place, and our game plan was Tommy would rebound the ball and he would bring it down, and we would steal the ball from him. But my job was to help our center, who was 6'8", who had no chance, to rebound against Tommy. And Tommy just kept reaching right over my head for every rebound. And Coach called timeout. He grabbed me by the jersey and he goes, "Hey, are you going to get a rebound tonight?" And I looked at him and I said, "Coach, I don't think so." And then I got to know Tommy. What a great Christian. He's a guy that preaches at his church up in Avery County, and a real big Christmas tree farmer, but also just a really fine person.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I was thankful to have met him this past year, and get to spend some time with him. So yeah, I just wanted you to share that story because I remember that and thought it was really funny. But, yeah.
Man, it sounds like Butch is just like you're a very competitive person, which is just like Tucker and I. And so with like your golf career, did that start post like high school and college, or is that during?
Yeah, I'll tell you how my golf career started. I was playing church league basketball at Huntersville First Baptist. See, what happens, Johnny, is that you get out of college, you play in a really good pro-am league, a really good college summer league, you play in, then all of a sudden you're in a really good Y league, really competitive. And then you're in a really bad Y league. Then you're in a church league, a good church league, and then you're in a really bad church league. And now I'm 43 years old. I'm playing at Huntersville. Average age is about 20, 25 maybe. I'm 43. I take a charge on this kid about 6'5". He steps on my chest, knocks me cold. I'm out. I'm laying on the floor.
Oh my God.
And I'd played a little golf up in there, but I was still playing basketball and, trying to be young and compete. And I looked up, I came to and I looked up and there were 9 guys standing over me. And one of them said, "I think the old guy's dead."
Oh gosh.
I looked up and I said, "Hey, bud, I'm not dead, but if you can help me to the sideline, I'm never going to do this again in my life." So I became a golfer that night and and I moved to a golf course so I could play golf. And you can only play, well, I mean, there's people that play a long time, but to play competitively. So golf is a little easier on your body than playing basketball and softball and all that. So, but Tucker, you know what? I've seen you play basketball. I can bet. Well, no, I'm not going to bet anything, but I'll bet I can get you lunch money from shooting horse. I still can beat you in horse.
Oh, yeah. I'm not Butch.
I never seen an offensive lineman that was a shooter. Come on.
Yeah. No, I'm going to play good defense, get some rebounds, maybe a couple layups, a couple post moves.
Hey, there you go. So your golfing career didn't start until you said in your 40s. So it wasn't something you did.
I played golf, but I got serious about golf in my 40s. Yes.
Gotcha. Man, awesome. Yeah. Well, because a lot of guys are like golfing. Like I have buddies who like right now. I'm a middle school teacher. We have a whole middle school team, and I didn't back in Georgia. We don't have middle school golfing teams, and so you have middle schoolers who are out on golfing teams right now, starting that young.
No doubt. And I'm so proud of, actually, we go to church together with Tucker, is Jared Myers, who's just signed a scholarship at Lenore Ryan. And I got Jared. And, sometimes as a coach, you just get a great athlete. You're just so blessed to work with. And Jared, I've never had an athlete work harder than Jared. Every time I go to the golf course, he's putting, chipping balls and listening. He's so coachable. But that's a pleasure. He started when he was, let's see, he's a senior. He was a rising ninth grader when he really got serious and totally committed to golf, because he wasn't quite as big as some of the guys, and he just left baseball and basketball and all of a sudden became a golfer. But yeah, you can start early, and I got kids that are 8 or 10 years old that are starting, that you can tell are going to be really good players. They need their parents. Like Jared's parents are such great people, great Christians. Brian and Amy are just wonderful people, and they're really supportive of him. I love as a coach, you love somebody like that. So, but I'm real proud of Jared. I got a couple of guys like that. But anyway, yeah, you can start early.
Yeah. I was just with Jared all weekend. He is a great kid.
He's
And
awesome.
I mean, he's very driven and motivated, and nobody has to tell him to do it.
Hey, listen,
very
this is just
disciplined.
us talking here. Nobody will ever see us probably. You guys you're not on like CBS or anything, are you? No.
No, we haven't made it that big yet, but
I just choked on my drink.
You tell Jared, you tell him I said he's a scrub and he still can't beat me. You tell him I said that.
I will absolutely tell him that.
Hey, listen, I have no chance to beat Jared. None. Zero.
That's awesome. I love the trash talk.
I told him you were coming on, so he actually probably will listen to this episode. So he'll hear you say it.
Jared, you still can't beat me.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of golf now, Butch, one thing I've learned about you since we've known each other is you're just a great storyteller. Like, you have so many stories just in your back pocket, like ready to pull out at any time. So I'm curious, in all of your years playing golf, what the best golf story you have is.
Well, it's this time of year. This is absolutely the best golf story ever with me. When I tell this story, people have one or two reactions. One is they go, this guy's lost his mind. He really didn't get to Augusta. And the other people go, wow, tell me all about it. So my partner and I, my best friend, Tim Severs, and I were in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We were on the board. All that means is we were fundraisers for the local chapter here in Charlotte. And there was a marriage retreat in Pine Needles that my wife and I could not go to. And Linda and Tim and Suzanne went, and I was bummed out because I wanted to go to Pinehurst. And so Tim said it like midway through the weekend, he was in a breakout session with, another couple, and it was an older guy, George Whistler was his name. And Tim said, Mr. Whistler, where do you play golf? And he goes, I'm a member at Augusta National. And Tim said, wow, and Suzanne knows nothing much about golf. So ignorance is kind of bliss. 2 weeks later, after the weekend, she called Mr. Whistler and said, Mr. Whistler, Tim's 50th birthday is coming up. Would you mind if he brought a couple of friends down to your place? Your place is Augusta.
Yeah.
Well, nobody does that. And Mr. Whistler's so nice. And he goes, Suzanne, I really like you and Tim. Have Tim bring a couple of his friends down, and they'll spend the night, and we'll put them in one of the cabins. Not the Butler cabin, but I think it was the George Scott cabin. I think there's a cabin for each chairman there. So we were going to go and stay in the cabin, like right on the grounds. And I was like, no way. There's no way. You're pranking me. Don't do this. It's too serious. Because I swear so October rolls around, December rolls around is when that's when they reopened Augusta with the ryegrass. We're in the car driving down. I'm driving and I still think we're going to stop in Columbia or somewhere and play golf, but we pull up to Augusta to the guard gate, and the guy in the gate says, Mr. English, welcome to Augusta National. And I was like,
that's
so
awesome.
We walk in the clubhouse. Clubhouse looks, it looks big, but it's really kind of small because it's old. And you walk in, and there's the Masters trophy with that big silver trophy with the clubhouse and all Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus 6 times. And then they take our stuff and down to the cabin, and we start warming up. And it was the opening day, so kind of all the members were there, and caddies had on white jumpsuits. It looked real similar to the Masters, except the swings looked different on the range because they had amateurs, so like me. And we got out and played and got on the first hole. I had a caddy that was a real old guy. He had been caddying there since 1937. Said he caddied for Ben Hogan. I don't know whether that's true or not. But anyway, we got on the first hole, and I hit a pretty good shot into the first hole and had a birdie putt. It was downhill, pins down front. And I said to the caddy, tell me about this putt. He goes, well, it's pretty straight, but it's really fast. We have red light, green light, and yellow light putts here at Augusta. And this is red light. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, Raised Creek's right down in the corner. And, I want you to hit this putt 1 foot. And it was a 20-foot putt. And I said, this old cat doesn't know what are you doing. I'm at Augusta. I'm going to make this putt. I putted it about halfway to the hole, and it rolled off the front of the green down into the fairway. And he didn't say anything. I chipped it up and I made a really bad bogey. And Anyway, we get to the second hole, it's par 5, and I hit a pretty good second shot. I had a shot to the right pin. It was a kind of a big chip shot or a pitch shot. And he said, aim way up here on the left. And I thought, this guy does not know what he's doing. So I go right at the pin. I roll off the green. I make another bogey. So I get on 3, and I say, it's a short par 4. I said, is this a driver or a 3-wood? And he said, well, I said, what do you think? And he said, Mr. English, I don't think you're that smart. You're not listening to anything I'm saying. So anyway, we went to dinner that night and went to the champions locker room, and I walked, there's a Jack Nicklaus's locker, and all the dead guys, dead champions they share a locker with current champions that are alive. And then we went into the Crow's Nest, which is where Tiger Woods and all the U.S. amateur champions have stayed. And it's just a little bitty room with little bitty bunk bed things, and ate dinner. And then we played again the next day. It was unbelievable experience.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was just, but it was just like totally kind of absurd. It was like, there's no way that would happen, but I owe it all to Tim's wife, Suzanne, who knows nothing. She was just, she just made the call, buddy.
That's amazing.
Hey, it never hurts to ask. That's one of my mottos. Worst they can say is no.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Goodness. Mm-hmm. So how did it, how did it end? How did your game end after that? Did you start listening to the guy?
Yeah, I played good that day. That's back when I could play golf. I was shot 73 the first day, but we were playing the members tees, which is a lot different than what the pros play. But now I couldn't break 80 there. I'm sure it's just the greens are diabolical there. It's unbelievable. If you're above the hole, you're probably going to make bogey. So you got to have your iron play has to be really spot on, and your putting has got to be really good. But it's just like no other. It's so beautiful and so historic, and it's like no other. So Augusta, I can't wait for the week to get here. So
yeah, I'm from Georgia, and I've never been to Augusta. Would love to. Even though I'm not like the biggest golf guru, it still is a beautiful place to go.
Well, it is. I mean, first time I went, there was a cigarette butt in the primary cut of rough, and they don't have much rough, but I swear I almost reached down to pick it. It's almost like a car. It's almost like your living room carpet. It's just perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like we talked about being competitive earlier, and like Tucker and I played high school sports. You played high school and then also college, and you talked about there's a part of your life where you realize, okay, I can't be playing hardcore with the younger generation. So like, what is it in golf that helps guys continue that competitive nature? Because I feel like all guys and girls too, but guys have this competitive nature, and a lot of people, golf is that avenue for there. After they realize maybe I can't do contact sports anymore, so I can do this. So, what in golf helps that competitive nature continue?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I guess the probably the best analogy I can give you in anything is that golf is a lot like life. Life keeps coming at you. You keep having challenges in life. Just when you think you got it going, something happens, and that's when you really have to trust God in life. But golf is every day. As a matter of fact, every shot is different. You can hit the best shot you've ever hit. The next shot could be the worst shot you ever hit. One day it's raining, one day it's windy, one day it's cold. And you're outside, like right now, the grass is starting to green up and the buds are coming out, and you hear the birds singing, and it's just, you're in nature. It's just absolutely, it kind of is, I hate to use the word addicting, but it is, but on the other hand, it's really hard. It's so hard. It's just,
yes, it is.
I know with Tucker, right, Tucker, you work so hard at something that looks so, you're hitting a ball with a stick. It doesn't seem like, but it's really hard because it's, like I said, each shot is such a challenge, and you get bad breaks in golf. You may hit a sprinkler head and the ball bounces in the woods, and with my students, I call that an OTC, an opportunity to excel. OTE, sorry, opportunity to excel. You can tuck your tail and run, or you can really say, hey, watch this. I'm going to take this bad situation and excel at it. And there again, it's just like life. It comes at you. And if you let it get you, it'll get you down. The competition side, and this is really strange and it's hard to understand if you're not a golfer. It's really the main competition is you're competing with yourself, and you're competing with yourself to be as good as you can be. And good as you can be may be to shoot 90 or break 90 for the first time, or good as you can be is to beat your. I always ask people when I teach them, what are your goals? And I promise you, like half of them say, I just want to beat my uncle. He beats me every time.
Yeah.
Or my buddies from high school, I just want to be able to beat them. Or, and I'm thinking, at first, in my life, I thought competition was a bad thing. You have to be careful. In Philippians, it said, runs a race to win the prize. I'm going to ask my minister, is that right? It is Philippians, right?
I believe so. I believe you're right.
Don't say you believe so either. You know.
I don't
Run
know.
a race to win the
That
prize.
sounds right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably something
Well,
Paul said. He used
yeah. Right.
athletic analogies a lot.
Right. He used it because they related to it, but that prize is heaven. But in golf, you're just kind of competing against yourself. Like Friday, I was in a tournament. I could not have played worse. I played awful. I mean, just awful. It's like I'd never been out there. And yesterday, I came back and played as good as I can play. That's golf. It's elusive. It's never, ever, you never get it. Tiger Woods today is probably hitting balls trying to get better. He's hurt right now, but that's what all golfers do. Then the competition amongst yourselves usually is for, bragging rights or for 50 cents or for a milkshake or something that you're and I see four grown men out there and they're all maybe been really successful. And we're playing 5 hours for a milkshake. And I'm thinking, look at these guys. They're dead serious.
Yeah.
They want to win the milkshake. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's a chance to do that. And when you get, a little bit older, the middle age or past, and you can't keep playing softball or basketball or whatever, you can always get involved. Golf's a lifelong sport. I'm 100 years old. I'm still playing. So I love it. I just love it. So,
yeah, I'm very competitive, and I think I'm too because of how competitive I am. I don't want to do golf because I know I won't be able to do good at it. And
well, I think if you get into it and learn, here's this, Johnny. I would say to you, I would encourage you to find a good instructor and somebody that would first of all teach you the fundamentals. You played other sports, right, Johnny?
Yeah, I played baseball and football.
Yeah, what position in baseball?
In baseball, I played third base and center field.
Okay, you can run and you're a good fielder, so that tells me you're athletic. So what I would do with you is basically
debatable.
Easy.
I would basically really try to focus on three things to begin with: your posture. Like if you're at third base and you're standing straight up and the pitch comes and the ball's hit, you're not going to make the play, right? So what you're a crowd, you got your knees flexed, your butt's out, back straight, gloves down. That's athletic, right? Golf's the same way. Your posture is critical in golf. Your alignment to golf. I've had people trying to hit the ball straight and they're lined up to the dead right, 90 degrees. Your alignment is important. Your grip is critical. How you grip the club, your grip pressure is really important because the club hinges during the swings. So those are, would start there. And then just from there, once you master the fundamentals, you may never be a scratch golfer, but you can play and have fun with your buddies and with yourself, just playing out there, getting better. So yeah, I don't give up on it, man. A lot of people start
I got
late.
you. My goal is to beat Tucker one day. That's my goal of golf.
I reserve the right to make any comment on that.
We got to play together first, Johnny.
There you go.
We've never played together, so
true.
I tell you what, hey Tucker, Johnny and I will play you straight up. How's that sound?
Deal, 100% deal.
Fair.
I take that deal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember or not, Butch, but when I did lessons with you, you asked me what my goal was. And mine was, I just want to be able to play socially with people. I'm not out here trying to be the best.
Right.
I just want to play good enough to where I'm not frustrated with myself the whole time and can have, a decent time hanging out with friends and, meeting new people. And that's what it's been for me. And it's been great. I love it.
Hey, Johnny, let me tell you this. The guy's been a little bit, he's not bragging, but the other day we were playing golf at Burkdale. We're on hole 7, which is a drivable par 4, but you got to hit a really good drive. And I'm telling Tucker, he said, what should I hit? I said, well, Tucker, it really doesn't matter. You can hit whatever you want to hit. And he said, how about a driver? I said, well, if you hit it good, boy, hit it right on the green. He's putting for eagle. So don't let it fool you. Don't let it.
I blew the putt for eagle, so don't, I think I ended up
he had 3 putt
bogey.
I know that, so I couldn't believe that. So
Oh
Yeah,
man,
but that was awesome. I've never done that in my life. I've
That
never
was
drove the
awesome.
green,
So
so that
proud of
felt
him.
good.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Butch put the pressure on me for the putt. He was like videoing me, and
I did video him,
I was like, "Oh gosh,
he was putting like Ray Charles. It was awful.
yeah, it was terrible." I can't imagine what the pros feel like with
I like
that
Butch
many
a
people
lot.
watching them.
Yeah, well, the pros are playing for. The guy lost the other day in a playoff, and they said, well, he won $2.5 million, and I was like, I don't feel sorry for that cat anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's insane.
yeah. Well, speaking of doing lessons with you, Butch, and getting Johnny on some lessons, what was it that made you want to start being a golf instructor? Was it that scratching that coaching itch from basketball, or was it something
I
different?
mean, I coached AAU basketball and girls softball with my daughter, and I'm just a coach, man. That's all. I just like, you know, uh, you just there's something about team sports and now golf individual when you see if somebody's coachable, it's like the biggest reward ever. If somebody you can help somebody get to where their goals are and that sort of thing. And that may sound a little corny, but that's why I got into golf. But I tell you, I've never worked so hard for so little money. I know that.
I understand that. Yeah.
Hard business, but like Jared getting that scholarship, man, that is awesome. I'm so
Mhm.
proud of him. So, yeah, it's just that's why I got into it. And the only person that my son won't listen to me, he'll go, "What do you know?" Well, no, but that's just dads and sons, So, but he and I played golf since he's 3 years old. We played yesterday up at Roaring Gap, which is a great golf course, and just had a marvelous time. We did.
Mm.
You said earlier that like when it comes to sports, you said you like teaching your players how powerful a team is, but how more powerful a team is than just one person.
Correct.
How do you bring that into the golf world? Because sometimes in golf it's just one person. Like how do you?
That's Johnny. That's a great question because it's so individual. You're out there on an island playing in a tournament. Tournament golf is unlike any other sport I've ever been involved in the fact that is so. I mean, you're so mental. That's the reason Tiger and Jack Nicklaus are the best ever. They're both really, really smart players. They just didn't make mental mistakes, and they both were great putters, but they were really mentally strong. But I will say this: if you're serious about golf, it's just like Tucker and I. If Tucker wants to reach his goal there, he does have a team around him. He has to have somebody to help guide him and that sort of thing. If you're really a serious golfer, you have a strength coach, a speed coach, you have a mental coach, you have a putting coach. Those are guys that make a living doing it. So it can really be. And when those guys walk off, they always say, "I'd like to thank my team," and so forth. But you're right. It's very individual. And, you have to stay in the present. You can't, the most important shot is the next shot. So the 3 Ps I always talk to my guys about: stay in the present. You have to persevere because you will have adversity in golf. Every time I've ever played, I've had something corny happen, stupid happen. You hit a good shot and, it hits a rock or something, goes in the woods, and you have to persevere through adversity. And then the third thing is you really have to be patient. It takes 4 or 5 hours to play golf in a tournament. So you have to really, you have to stay patient, just really that those 3 Ps are so important. So it's mental. So you're right. It is individual, but good players have teams around them as well.
Yeah, and I like that because you were like comparing to life too, and that's just like life is. Yes, you have your own life that you're doing, but you need to have some people on your team in order to help you with mental, physical, and emotional,
Absolutely.
spiritual. So
Absolutely.
I like that
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, and
And
I like those 3 Ps too. Like,
Tucker's meant a lot to our church and to me individually. And, we got sports in common, but I just love hearing him. I mean, he was using some neurophysics on me the other day. That kind of got me what's that word, Tucker, you used?
neuroplasticity.
oh, I know what you're talking.
You hear that, John?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I know.
Big time there, buddy.
hey, it's good
I
Yeah,
didn't know
stuff.
I didn't know he was a neuroscientist there. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, those 3 Ps you just listed, you're sitting there talking about it in terms of golf, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what? This is great advice for life. But
Absolutely.
you got to be present, you got to be patient, and you got to persevere. I mean, You're going to face adversity in life all the time.
Yeah, I'm looking around, when I'm out there playing and looking at guys on the driving range. There may be 30, 40 guys getting ready to play in a tournament. And, everything looks rosy. But I guarantee you, out of those 30, 40 guys, almost all of them have issues in their life. And I'm always wondering if they got the Lord to go to help them, persevere and all that stuff, because I can't imagine doing life without God.
No, yeah, because you need the Lord, and then you also need guys in your corner as well. And just going off with the different things you said, you also said OTE, which is when you said when something bad happens, opportunity to excel, and that again is in life as well.
Yep.
So, man, I need to read your book, Butch. You're sounds like you got some knowledge to this.
Bought it, so no. Let me see if I can put it up on the screen here. There you go.
There you go.
All right, so yeah, it's on
list.
Amazon.com, and hey, if you guys hold your mouth right, I'll give you one. How's that sound?
I hear you.
That's awesome.
Well, so we talked a lot about golf. We talked about it can be individual, but then also you have your guys around you. And so why is it? I mean, it is like, especially, after college, you get married, have kids, like it is a hobby for many guys, like just around the world, or like, especially, here in our circle. So why do you think golf is such a great hobby for guys to do?
Well, that's a great question. All the stuff we talked about how hard it is, and you're still playing a sport, and the other thing is this with the guys. I'll give you an example. I went on a golf trip, which was 12 guys, went to Myrtle Beach in 1985. Do the math for me, Tucker. So, it's 2025.
40 years.
Come on, guys. Come on now.
He said 40 years.
40 years.
For 40 years, we have the same group of guys have gone on a golf trip.
Wow. That's awesome.
And, a couple of them can't make it occasionally, but it's basically the same core group. And I'm thinking, why do we do that? Why do we do that? A couple of years ago, we ran into another group, and they were guys in their 80s. And I said, hey, Bob, where'd y'all play today, your group? He says, man, we hadn't played in 5 years. We just come down here to go to restaurants and go to golf stores. They don't even play. That's awesome. That camaraderie and male bonding, if you will, and I will say this, my wife's involved in I don't know how many beach trips her and her girlfriends go on, and they go shopping and all that. Guys don't do that. Right. They don't do that as much. Golf is something that holds you together, and that's what you have in common. And, there's all different kinds of golfers. Some can't play at all, and some are decent. So, but we still go, and I can't wait for that weekend. Yeah, I can't wait to do that. So, the other thing is this: just the camaraderie of competing, like you said. I mean, I'm getting that. My wife said, what do y'all play for? And we don't play for anything. It's just yesterday we played for 5 hours, and at the end, somebody said, who won? I said, I think we were tied. We were just competing, having fun.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to go to the store and buy that without having something that you have a common interest in, like golf.
Yeah. I feel like for men, we like to have something to do, just some activity. It doesn't always have to be a sport or something physical, but it can be a number of different things. But we like to have an activity and something to do that brings us together, and then the relationships can then flourish and grow around that thing. I feel like is how men typically operate.
You got it. It could be a car show or hunting or fishing or whatever, but golf and Johnny, you were right. In North Carolina, the leading golf region is Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the hottest market in golf in the Carolinas. I guess there's so many people from so many different areas. The weather's pretty good, and it's just really, sometimes it's hard to even get on a golf course. So if you're in a group, and by the way, we're trying to start this league here. Tucker and I have been working on, and some other folks, but we're still working on getting a golf league for our church. We're still working on and talking about it. Not sure when we're going to start it, but that league is for what you're talking about. It's for fellowship and bonding with other people, and having something that, have some common ground with people. So golf's a good one, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it because, I've not played. I played one. I think I played one round with my father-in-law and brother-in-law, but I have gone a lot and just like hang out with somebody's while they're golfing. But you don't have to say anything. You can just be there with the guys. Y'all can talk a little bit, or you can talk the entire time. And I think just golf just gives that space for fellowship with men, and it allows them to know, hey, like I don't have to share something deep on this one. Maybe not in the next three, but these guys, if I wanted to, I feel like I could share this with these guys because when you're being like competitive with people, you are building a strong relationship with them, and it
Absolutely.
opens the door for like a deeper relationship with your brothers.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. So
yeah,
man,
go ahead.
well, no, I was going to say, so like, Butch, I would really like if you could give like I'll find the link and we can post your book on our social media and we can continue this conversation with guys onto our followers on Instagram and TikTok and everything because I'm sure you have that too, right, Butch?
Yeah, I do, and I have a website, and Tucker. I'll send all that to Tucker, and if you guys will do that. I mean,
Yeah.
the book is really a more of a business book as far as recruiting and hiring. It's called Recruiting and Hiring Champions. And hey, listen, this is what I found out a long time ago as a college coach. High school, you kind of get the players that come through the high school, but in college, you got to go find them. And I found out that if you don't have great players, you can be the greatest coach of all times, and you're not going to win. So you got to have great players. So recruiting is really important. Same thing with if you're building a team at business or if you work at the church. Johnny, what do you do?
I'm a sixth grade history teacher.
So I was a history teacher, but
Okay.
if you were building, if you were the head of the history department and building a team of teachers, you would recruit and try to find the very best teachers if you're going to have a really good team. And
Right.
Tucker's at our church, and boy, what a great team we have there as far as who does what. We're still growing and connecting with people and all that. But yeah, recruiting is really important. I had non-negotiable competencies when I was in the business world and coaching. One of the main things was, I would never recruit a kid. This is kind of funny. If I went to a kid's home and he was not nice to his mom, if he was, would talk back to her or, say something sassy, guess what? He's out. I will not have a kid on my team like
Love
that.
that.
If you're not nice to your mama, you ain't going to be nice. So,
Amen.
so that was a non-negotiable for me. And so you build those things as you recruit and build teams, if you want.
Yeah. Kirby Smart needs to learn how to not take kids or you're going to get arrested for speeding.
Okay. We're going down a different path. We're going down a different path.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Well, Butch,
Hey, Tucker, all y'all Southeastern boys, you're going to lose to Duke. You know that, right?
Hey,
we're not even there yet. We
I
got to
know.
win today first.
I know, man.
That's
They adopted
hilarious.
that general manager program 3 years ago, and they sat in the room last year and said to the coaches, "What do you want?" And the recruiters and the GM, and they said, "Give us 2 7-footers. Don't care where you find them." And so they found one in Africa and one who's from Africa but played in the U.S. Then they said, "Give us the best high school player, Cooper Flagg. Give me the 3 best 5-stars that are left." Isaiah Evans is from North Mac here. Knipple is a killer. Man, he is awesome. I love him. He just plays hard defensively, great passer, and can shoot it and just competes. And they were lucky to get him. And then give me the best 3 transfer portals that are out there. So they got the kid from Tulane, the point guard. I can't remember his name, but he's big and strong. And then the 6'8" guy. I mean, they just went out and found the best.
Yeah.
And that's college athletics today.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But you know who they don't have?
Who's
Rick
that?
Rick Barnes.
No,
He's such a great guy.
Hey, listen, you got a coach on this end, Rick Barnes. So I know Rick. So Rick says, I said, "How do you get your first job?" He said, "Well, played at Lenore Ryan. I wanted to be assistant at Davidson. Terry Holland, I think, was at Davidson, and he had an appointment to interview, I think as a graduate assistant or an assistant. And the appointment was at 10 o'clock. So Rick said he showed up at 9:30. Coach Holland wasn't there. He sat there. His secretary said, I don't know where he is. He never came. 5 o'clock that afternoon, Coach Holland came in his office, and Rick Barnes was still sitting there. And Coach Holland said, "Oh, my gosh." I think it was Terry Holland. "Oh, my gosh, I missed the appointment." He said, "I'll tell you what, if you've been sitting here all day." Anyway, that's how he got his first coaching job. Isn't that a cool story?
That is a cool story.
I mean,
Rick
yeah,
Barnes is awesome.
with that
Hey, listen, you
story,
got a coach.
how are we going to lose?
Yeah, Coach Barnes is
How are we
really
going to lose having Barnes as our coach? I mean, look at that work ethic right there.
no doubt. Well, the other thing is he almost got in a fight with Dean Smith at Clemson. So I was
He ain't
like,
scared of
who is this
nobody.
guy?
Nobody.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
that's
tough.
awesome.
That's awesome. Well, Butch, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And
Yes.
man, I resonate a lot with your story. Like, as I was doing some soul searching, just trying to, ask the big question of like, what do I feel like my purpose is? I remember one of the questions that got posed to me was, if you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be? And the first word that popped into my head was coach. And not because I want to coach sports or, anything like that, but I think the nature of being a coach and helping people become the best version of themselves expands into so many different career fields and opportunities. And so, I view me being a pastor very similar to being a coach,
No
just
doubt.
almost
Hey,
like a
guys.
spiritual coach.
Hey, Tucker. Awesome.
Yeah.
Before we leave, can I say a prayer for us?
Let's
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
Yes.
Dear Lord, just wrap your arms around these two men. They're trying to make a difference. Bless them. Thank you for Taylor Tucker and what he does at our church, and maybe getting to meet Johnny. I can tell he's the real deal, and what he does in teaching to young kids is so important. Just wrap your arms around them and all these men and women who are maybe listening and looking for something to do to get closer to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that.
First prayer in the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can't thank Butch enough for taking the time to come on the podcast and share his story and to just share about his passion for golf. And we hope for our listeners, you may get the golf bug and take it up as a hobby with your friends, with your dogs. Don't just do it alone, but do it with other guys in your life. So like always, go be like Butch. Go be a dog today.
And go be like Butch and go be there for your dogs.